Welcome, welcome, welcome to Create Your Life at Center for Spiritual Living Asheville. It is Pop Quiz September 9th, September 9th, 2019, and we always begin with spiritual mind treatment. So take a deep breath, let it out. Breathe in again, and let it out. And please continue breathing as we know that there is one power and one presence in the entire universe and beyond. It is light and love and vibration and creation. It is this energy that is all, in all, as all. And whatever it is, everything is a part of it. So there is the oneness. And then there is us as the individualized expression of the divine in form. We are spiritual beings living in a spiritual universe governed by spiritual law. And I know that we come together tonight by divine appointment to create the best life ever in love and joy and happiness, in prosperity and health and wholeness. I know that we come together tonight to create this life that is magnificent and glorious. And whatever we need to know, we know. Whatever we need to have, we have. And we use these principles to direct spiritual law and manifest our heart's desires. And with great gratitude and thanksgiving for the knowledge of how to use this, for the connection of all of these people coming together in consciousness, and for the opportunity that we have to demonstrate these principles. With great gratitude and thanksgiving, I simply release this into all that God is, all that Spirit is, all that the divine is, knowing that it is all, as together we say, and so it is. Yay! Yay! So I want you to know that we're going to have a fun class over the next 7 weeks, that we're not using a book. I know that there are a number of you that really do your homework when we have that, and there are a number of you that don't. And rather than divide the group into those that did their homework and those that didn't do their homework, we're just going to leave that aside. And whatever it is you need to know, I will share that with you, and I'm sure that you'll pick up whatever else there is along the way. We're going to look at how do we create our life, and then we're going to create it. And we're going to do it in process, we're going to do it in fun, and we're going to look at different aspects. I want you to know in advance that class 3 will be vision boards. Because vision boards are fun. How many people have done vision boards? I love vision boards. Vision boards are fun and they work, and we can use that to imprint upon our subjective mind that which we want to have in our lives. Vision boards also give us an opportunity to really go for it. So between now and 2 weeks from tonight, you have an opportunity to either collect up a bunch of magazines or go online and print out the pictures that you really want instead of looking for something in a magazine. Does anybody have a sailboat? Does anybody have a private jet? Does anybody have a private massage therapist? No, just go ahead and find those pictures, print them out, and bring them with you, but print out extras. If you see something and you're not sure that you really want that, maybe you're picking up on somebody else in the class that really wants that. So print out extras, bring extras, and it's going to be mayhem. It's going to be a lot of fun. Just in advance, and I'll remind you of this next week, you're going to need a board. It's not a wooden board, although some people have used plywood, but I find them very heavy. It's usually a cardboard, piece of cardboard, or a piece of poster board. You're going to need some glue. Glue sticks are easy, scissors are easy, and whatever else you might want. If you may want some backing, like Breezy puts backing on the boards before she puts pictures on it, depending on how artistic you are, bring whatever you want and bring a bunch of extras so that when someone walks into class for the first time in 2 weeks and they go, "Whoa, I didn't know we were doing vision boards," someone says, "I got a board for you, I got a bunch of pictures, here's some glue," and we can all just have fun together. How many people have used vision boards and had them demonstrate? Yes, so have I. I'm going to do a vision board of the stream bank and of the driveway, the new double driveway, and put that up in my office where I can see it. So it's going to be a lot of fun. No glitter. We have a ban on glitter in the entire center because it ends up on the chairs in the sanctuary and it never comes off. So there's a glitter ban. Then it's toxic for the environment. So there you go. So we're going to have fun with that. Tonight we're going to start off talking about our beliefs, and we're just going to go from there. It occurs to me that in our desire to be strict metaphysicians, that we have something that we're focusing on and we don't want it to demonstrate, and so the teaching is just to turn away from that, not to look at it, not to think about it, not to say it. Don't you dare picture a pink elephant in a tutu. Don't do it. Don't think about that pink elephant in a tutu. No, take the tutu off. Now it's a naked elephant. Don't think about it. Well, what happens? You think about the pink elephant in the tutu. So what I want to do is give us a little bit of opportunity to maybe look inside of ourselves and see where we pick that belief up. Maybe the circumstances surrounding it. Not heavy therapy. We don't want to go there. But looking more honestly at what we're thinking instead of trying to pretend that we're not thinking it. Because when we look at our lives, whatever it is we see has a belief that set that cause in motion to where the experience is in effect. The way we create our lives is with cause and effect. Everything on the outside is an effect. Everything on the inside is cause. We are cause to our lives. You are masters of your life. Your life is a direct reflection of something going on inside of you. And when you have that inside of you for any length of time at all, you cannot help but have it manifest on the outside. So sometimes that's a really good thing. Sometimes you're thinking about how wonderful you are, how loved you are, how supported you are, how great life is, how much prosperity there is and health and wholeness, and that demonstrates on the outside. You did that. You did that. It was a little over a year ago that I was diagnosed with chronic kidney disease stage 3, level 3. And it took me 6 months to completely reverse that. And not only did I use diet and supplements, but I used my head. I worked on my head. I worked on my kidneys. I talked to my kidneys. I talked to my body. I had that manifestation. And I don't just say, well, that was a fluke. I own it. I did that. If I didn't do that, then I am not in control of my life. And I guarantee you, you are in control of your life. Nobody else is in control of your life, no matter what happened to you, no matter what circumstances you find yourself in. You are the only one in control of your life. And everything is possible. There are no limits in life. So we live in an infinite universe, which means that point of infinite expansion must be inside of us. And so anything is possible. All we have to do is be able to wrap our heads around it to the point where it manifests. Hence, beliefs. Because we can talk about affirmations, and we can talk about listening to the words that we say. We can talk about thinking about what we think about, and then thinking a second thought if we don't like the first thought. But what's underneath all of that? Have you ever found yourself simply reacting, and you didn't even know what happened until you're far down the rabbit hole, and maybe there's yelling and screaming and gnashing of teeth and all kinds of drama? Something triggered us. And so when I look at this idea of beliefs, I look around and say, what is going on in my life? People say, well, I don't know what my hidden beliefs are. They're hidden. Well, not really. They may be hidden in that they're subjectified. They're in what some people would call our unconscious mind, but I don't believe that there's anything unconscious about us. We are pure consciousness. But there are levels of consciousness, and so there's our conscious mind, and then there's our subconscious or subjective mind, and we may have a belief down in that sub-level that we are just not consciously aware of. But all we have to do is look around at our lives and see what's demonstrating to see what our belief is. You know, if we always have too much month left at the end of our money, we have a belief in some kind of lack and limitation. If we have some kind of a physical experience, then we have a belief in that. If we have a belief that our genetic predisposition will manifest as a certain disease or experience, then that's a belief. I have a belief that my genetic predisposition manifests as old age. My mother was 93 when she passed, so I'll take that one. I'll take that one, and I'll let the other ones go. So all you have to do is look around at your life, look around at your physical health, look around at your level of prosperity and comfort, look around at your relationships, look around at how you're expressing yourself. Do the doors open for you or do they close? Because if you have opening doors, then that's a great belief to hold on to. But if some of your doors slam shut, then you want to look at what's feeding that to put you in a position where you're creating the closing of the doors. Everything in our life is our creation. We are the masters of our life. We literally are commanding the very molecules of form to collapse as the physical experience of our lives with our thought, and science has even proven that that's what's happening. Any Big Bang Theory fans? They keep referencing something called Schroeder's cat. And there's a physics theory that says this scientist puts a cat in a box, puts it in some kind of a dimension. And depending on whether they are expecting the cat to be alive or dead, determines whether the cat is alive or dead when they open up the box. And that's standard physics, standard quantum physics. There are numerous tests that were done back when I was originally in college, which was back in the late 70s, where you would have pluses and minuses. It's a random number generator. And these machines would randomly generate numbers. And then they would have people sit right next to the machine because, you know, proximity is key. That's a joke. Doesn't have anything to do with it. They would sit next to the machine and they would think plus, 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 plus. Kind of like a Tony Robbins firewalk. Plus, plus, plus. And sure enough, the machine would spit out pluses. But then they realized that time and space are an illusion. And so they would have the random number generators spit out numbers, and they would seal them up and put them away, and they would wait. And then they would bring someone in to just think pluses or minuses, either way. Now this is going back in time. Just take a moment here. If I could turn back time, you can. This is going back in time to change what happened before. And so they would think pluses or they would think minuses, and then they would open up the numbers that were spit out by the machine months ago, and it would match what the intention was. That's been proven over and over and over again. It's such a common idea that they just call it Schroeder's cat now. Sherry?
Yes, that is the same thing as Neville Goddard's pruning shears of revision.
Neville Goddard's pruning shears of revision. Thank you. Thank you. He was.
We'll use that today.
Oh, good. Was that the Neville Goddard quote from yesterday, from John's amazing talk yesterday?
Yes.
If you didn't hear John's talk yesterday, for or against, listen to it. It was wonderful, just wonderful. So we are, through our thoughts, able to change not only the future, but get this, we can change the past. There is nothing outside of our control. We are not at effect of anything. We are always at cause. And when we stand in that place of cause, we can create anything we want in our life. We can create it through our thoughts, through our words, through our actions. But what I have found is that we also need to step back a little bit and look at the beliefs that feed those thoughts, those words, and those actions. And we don't do a lot of that. I used to do a lot more of that when I had women's groups and when John had men's groups, and we had a lot of time to really kind of poke through our past and ourselves and see what makes us tick. But I think the time would be very well spent tonight to look at that before we move into changing what we're thinking, to get a bit of a sense as to why we're thinking it. And everybody's got their story. I've been doing this for 40 years. I've heard pretty much every story there is, just with a different face on it or a different time stamp on it. Everybody's had the same experience, and it's what do we do with that? Do we allow that experience to define us, at which time we are at effect of the experience, or do we change what it is we are thinking or acting on in that experience to create a new us? We can all spin it whatever way we want. And having lived the childhood that I lived, I could look at those times of what would be classic neglect and say, oh, the poor child, she was thrown out into the world, left on her own, there was no food, there was no protection, there was no support. I could look at it that way as, oh, what a terrible time I had, and you know, I've got no business being happy, joy-filled, successful, and powerful in life because I didn't have that as a base. Or I could say, I already went through the mill as a kid, and it tested my mettle, and I came out with moxie, with strength, with confidence, and with clarity, knowing I can get out of any situation I find myself in, and I can do anything that I want. And I learned that at a very young age. And so I can take that as a blessing and take the good out of that and say, nothing can faze me because I already know who I am, because I already went through the fire back then. Or I could go around and tell my story about the ain't it awfuls and all the horrible things that happened to me, and in doing that, erode the very basis of power that I have. But that didn't just happen. I had to tell a lot of people about a lot of the things that happened to me to get there. I think there's something about feeling heard, something about being acknowledged that, yeah, shit happens. Something about that we all go through stuff, and that we still get to be spiritual beings. We still get to be powerful beings. We still get to be beings of light and love, even though some of those things have happened. One of the things that I have a lot of trouble getting past with students is this idea that says I have to be perfect to be able to demonstrate. And what's often going on is you don't know me because I haven't shown myself to you, and I know I'm not perfect. I know what I've done. I know what's happened in my life, so I'm not perfect, so therefore I can't have all these great things that Barbara Waterhouse says I can have. I can't have prosperity and healings and joy and happiness because I know that there's something inside of me that is not light and not love. And when we can get into that and pull it out into the light of day and realize everybody has that, everybody's gone through stuff, and still it doesn't take away from that amazing spiritual reality of who we are. And that there's nothing to hide. There's absolutely nothing within us that needs to be hidden. And whatever it was, it was. And it's okay to look at it, and it's okay to talk about it, and it's okay to bring it out. It's not going to tarnish us. Bringing out a feeling of less than doesn't make us less than. It actually lets us look at whether or not that's true. Just because someone told us that we didn't deserve all of that, Terry, sit down, you're in the camera. Thank you. That didn't deserve to have that doesn't mean that we don't deserve to have it. And sometimes we have to look at that and go, well, that's just not true. That's the thought of a 4-year-old that didn't know what to do, didn't know how to handle it, and life was ganged up supposedly against that child. But I am not 4 anymore. I am 66 years old and looking good.
Yes.
I am top of my game. I am doing great. I can create my life any way that I want to. And even though that happened, even though I used to think that way, even though up until a minute ago I had a hidden belief that said I don't deserve to have this, I can look at that and go, well, that's just not true. I don't have to be what psychology would call an idealized image of perfection to be able to have the life that I want. I don't have to have an idealized image of spirituality. You know, people look at me and they go, you're a what? You're a what? Well, you don't act like a minister. You don't talk like a minister. My God, you swear all over the world for your cameras. So if I had this idea that I had to meditate 12 hours a day and I had to take a vow of poverty and I had to just be so codependent and sticky to everybody's neurosis, if I had that idea, then I would always fail. But if my belief was that I always fail, then I would create that idealized image that I could then never live up to, so I could fail. The win being, in a very neurotic way, failure. And think about what just stereotypical roles. Think about the young boy whose father says, you're never going to amount to anything. And so the young boy who doesn't have the value of science of mind teachings or even good therapists goes through life never amounting to anything so that he can live up to the ideas of his father. In a weird way, it's loyalty. So in order to be loyal to my parent, I have to live out what you thought of me, and you didn't think very highly of me, so I can't succeed here. I've got to fail. I've got to not amount to anything. When you look at those beliefs down there, now that we're all grown up and we're not stuck in those situations anymore, you can say, is this real? I'm rational now. I've got resources now. I can live the way I want to live. Is this real, and do I want to keep it? Do I want to keep that idea, or do I want to look at it and toss it into the scrap heaps of things that have gone by and are no longer current in my life? But I find it's difficult if we don't give ourselves that opportunity to look, to just say, stop thinking that thought. Stop thinking that thought. Okay, now we've got the one who's not going to amount to anything. Can't stop thinking that thought, because then they wouldn't fulfill the idea of failing in this teaching. Do you see how that works? People come into this teaching, and if they're not willing to heal, then they just act out their old neurotic patterns, only now they're using it with spirituality, with treatment, with demonstration. I can't come there because I've got a cold. Please come if you have a cold. Just wear your pajamas, bring a thing of tissues. We don't believe in germs anyway. This is the time to be here when we're not feeling on top of our game. It's great to be here when we're on top of our game, but if we can't be here when we're at our low spots, then how are we going to grow out of those low spots? So I can't come there because my car has a flat tire. I can't come because I'm sick. I can't come there because I don't have a job. I've had homeless people in this class, and it is so much fun because they are just not homeless for long. So if we are able to say, this is where I am, I'm not going to be in judgment on where I am, I'm going to look at it. Where did this come from? Well, my parents were always terrified of being homeless. So now, out of my love for them, and this is important, out of my love for them, I will demonstrate homelessness. I'll take that. We don't have to do that. The question then, in the light of day, is, well, is this a good idea? Is this really a good idea? Is this really a way of showing love? To make myself small, to hold myself back, to keep myself down? Or is there some greater level of beingness that I can embrace that says, I am powerful, I am clear, I am rich, I am happy, I am filled with joy, and I am fulfilling my spiritual purpose by demonstrating those, by actualizing those potentials, instead of acting out neurotic patterns that end up having me less than. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good, let's do it. So I want you to randomly, slowly, give me time to write, I want you to randomly give me some kind of beliefs that might create circumstances, and let's go ahead and just focus on the negative here, might create circumstances in your life that you don't want to have. Laura?
There's not enough time.
Not enough time. Time. What else?
Money doesn't grow on trees.
Money doesn't grow on trees unless you're an apple farmer, and then it does. Who else?
I'll probably die young like my mother, father, whoever.
Die young. Really, the good die young. How is that for an imprint on our subconscious? Add it to music, which is such a great way to get it in there, which is why we are so careful about the words we use on Sunday when we put it to music, and then have you say those words. No, the good don't die young. Die young like... ... What else? Yes?
It's just a phase.
Pardon me?
It's just a phase.
It's just a phase.
Don't you have to work hard?
Dakota.
Win-lose mentality.
Oh, yeah. Everything is you either win or you lose. And which one do you do? Is it L-O-O? L-O-S. That's loose.
Yes.
Win. You're winning if you're loose.
Exactly
Okay, let's stop for a minute and just look at this. Not enough time, not enough money, not enough energy, not enough opportunity, not enough education, not enough support. Where do you think that might have come from?
A sense of lack.
A sense of lack, but who said that?
My mom.
Dee, where did you get that from?
My mother.
And what did she say?
There's never enough money.
So, yeah, there's never enough money. There's never enough money. Never enough, never enough, never enough. And how do you act that out in your life?
Apple.
Hypothetically.
So I believe that that there have been times when there wasn't enough, and I created that. Not
Yes.
because of my spending, just because I created it.
There have been times in your life when there wasn't enough money.
Oh, right.
And if you were to look back on this today, did you have enough money to begin with?
Absolutely.
You had enough money, and yet somehow, you took the enough and you turned it into not enough because there was an idea back there that said there's not enough, there's not enough, there's not enough. And that came from your mother probably using it as a mantra when you were growing up, that there's not enough, there's not enough, there's not enough. And so as you have moved into there being more than enough, do you have feelings about that?
Oh, absolutely. I'm so powerful, I can create that.
Create what?
Create that money.
That you can create that money, that you are so powerful. And is there any disconnect between you and your mother when you're in your power?
Oh, yes, a lot of disconnect.
Right, so this is where it gets interesting. That psychologically, these bonds with our parents are so strong. And even if we think we hate our parents, even if which is a whole nother thing, you don't want to do that. Even if you think that you're not your parents, Nancy Friday wrote a great book called Our Mothers Ourselves. Even if you think that that has not affected you and you are acting that out, it is in you. And it is up to us to be able to pull it out and look at it and say, really, do I have to take this wonderful opportunity and turn it into somehow with all of my power. At the end, there's not enough money. How did I do that? There was enough money. There's plenty of money. And I turned it into not enough money. And what I like to do in that moment is to say, look at how powerful I am. That I can live in an abundant universe and somehow hold back the flow of universal goodness and prosperity and expansion. I, little old me, can do that and create a point of form that goes against the nature of all life, where I end up not having enough. And so when I start stroking myself for that, wow, Barbara, wow, Dee, you did amazing work with that. Look at how much you've done. Then you can flip that into having more than enough. But once you learn that this is my mother inside of my head, sometimes I ask people, whose voice is that? And they go, oh, it's a surprise. Well, it's my mother's voice, my father's voice, my third grade teacher's voice, my aunt's voice. It's the priest's voice, whatever it is. Whose voice is that talking to you so many decades later? Then you can bring it out into the light of day and say, I don't need to do this anymore. I can use my power in a much more uplifting, creative, and supportive way for me. And you release all of this power, because when you're busy creating the same old thing over and over and over again, you're like a hamster on a wheel. You're using up a lot of energy. You're just not getting anywhere. And so to be able to stop that, stop the insanity, let's pull it out and look at it and see whether or not there's any merit to it, or whether it's completely fabricated, whether it's just a lie, then we can shift it. So who has not enough money? Who has not enough time? Who has not enough education? Who has not enough opportunity? These are things to look at. Well, I do that if everything was structured in such a way that I didn't have to act out this not enough thing. Which means if I win the lottery, then I'll do it. If somebody comes and gives it to me on a silver platter, then I'll do it. And you know, those never happen. You can't win the lottery if winning the lottery is going to take you out of your creation of hidden beliefs that you haven't healed yet. That's why when people win the lottery, they lose the money. In 5 years, they're worse off than they ever were because they never changed the belief. But more often than that is you just won't win it. It's not going to happen. You won't let it in. The way you're going to win the lottery is to go around and go, there's money in the air. There's money everywhere. I am so full of money. Money is so great. I am a winner. I am a winner. I am a winner. That's how you win the lottery, and there are people who have done that. They jump up and down in their living room. They have their tickets, and they scream that they won, they won, they won, and they do that every week for a year, and then boom, they win. Because you've set that up in consciousness. So don't lie to yourself and say, once I win the lottery, once I find Prince Charming, once I have Cinderella, once this happens or that happens, then my life is going to work out. Your life is going to work out when you decide to have it work out. And when we get rid of the obstacles that are in front of us that we have placed there, that usually we don't even know, we're walking forward in our life, we put all these blocks in front of us, and we refuse to look, and then boom, we fall over, and we go, oh, here I am down on the ground again. We did that. And so when we look at what we're doing, and we go to put another block down there, and we go, wait a minute, this is an obstacle. This is something that's going to trip me. I am sabotaging myself by continuing to do the same thing inside of me and not stopping to question it or look at it. And then we start looking at it. Really, is there not enough time? What's up with time anyway?
It's an illusion.
There is no time. There is the eternal now moment. And so we always have the now moment. We can never not have the now moment, whether we're in this physical form or not. There's always the now. We always have an eternal amount of time right here and right now. So you can't say that anymore. And where did I get that anyway? I got that from a harried parent that was working 3 jobs and that was trying to put food on the table, and out of their love for us, they did the very best that they could. And that's where I picked that up. Out of my love back to that person, I have chosen to keep myself down to try to reinforce that their belief was the right belief. Now, do you think that harried parent working 3 jobs wants their kids to be miserable? They work 3 jobs so the kids can have a better life. And so our love to our parents or the people whose shoulders we stand upon should be that we are lifting our creations up even higher. I love it when my students outdistance me. Go for it. Just go past me. I'm thrilled. Manifest more. Manifest greater joy, happiness. Create a whole freaking community of green people out there. You did that, Mary Love. Manifest more. Change the world. Go for it. That tells me that you have honored what I've given you. So while we're looking at these hidden beliefs, we've got to look at what is our motivation for keeping them, and is that really who we want to be? Does it really fulfill our desire for love, for loyalty? Many people have loyalty as a high value. It's so often difficult for people to exceed their parents' living standards. There's studies that have been done. Not so much the money, because the cost of living increases all the time, but to have a bigger house, to have a newer car, to take vacations if your parents didn't take vacations. And the reason that it's difficult for people to do that is loyalty. So am I really being loyal to those that I love by holding myself back? Or would I be more loyal to what they had in their hearts for me to rise up and really go for life? My experience of parents and teachers and people who love and nurture children is that they really want them to succeed. It's very few that want the child to be miserable. And then you're just dealing with some real sickos. But most people want the next incoming group to do better, to be happier, to be more joy-filled, to create a better world to live in, to go for it. And so if we start questioning why we're doing what we're doing, we can look at it and tell ourselves that we are doing a better job being happier than we did being miserable. We are doing a better job being richer than we did being poor. We're doing a better job being healthy than we did by being sick. And when we shift those beliefs, then the thoughts and the words and the actions and the effects and the manifestation all shifts with it. Jen.
The belief that always amazes me is I need to worry, because if I don't worry, something will go wrong. And it's amazing to me because so many people, when they're asked as they're dying, what do you regret the most, they say, I wish I hadn't worried so much.
Right.
But what I find is, when I get to the end of the day, and everything's gone fine, and I look back at the end of the day and I think, gosh, if only I hadn't worried so much. Only I just let it unfold. So I'm actually doing that.
So who taught you to worry? Yes, you do. Who taught you to worry?
Fear taught me to worry.
Who taught you to worry?
Who taught me to worry?
Who? And everybody think about this.
Probably my mom.
So your mom taught you to worry. Do you think that you're helping by worrying? So instead of, I wish I hadn't worried, what I would do during the day is start to catch myself worrying and then have a little heart-to-heart with myself. You're not helping mom by worrying. You're not helping mom. You're not lifting mom. You're not, is your mother still here? So you're not assisting even the memory of mom by worrying. So what would connect with mom? What would assist in that memory of mom right now?
Love, joy, passion.
Love, joy, passion. So then your job is to have the mental discipline to move yourself into love and joy and passion right now. And so what it would be is, I love life. What else?
All is well.
All is well. I love life. All is well.
That's a good one.
Yes, and what do you have passion about?
Oh, no,
So just give me one thing.
Life, inspiration, helping.
Give it to me in a sentence. I love life. All is well. You need one for passion. That was your third one.
Helping others to have passion for life.
I love helping others to have passion for life. So worry. How's it going to go? What's it going to go? Oh my God, I'm just so worried. Wait. What's going on here? I'm worrying. Oh, right. Barbara told me I had to think about what I'm thinking about and pay attention to what I'm giving attention to. I'm worrying. I'm noticing it. So I'm worrying, thinking that somehow that is loving my mother, that I'm connecting with my mother in doing that, and instead I'm going to turn this belief around, bring it out into the light of day and say, I am not helping my mother by worrying. She's not even here anymore. I'm not helping my connection with her by worrying. Really, I love life. All is well. I love inspiring others to have their passion. I love that. That's who I am. That's me. And you get deeper in there and shift some of that energy that's feeding the unconscious thoughts that all of a sudden you've spent an hour worrying and you didn't even notice. We need to think about what we think about and pay attention to what we give attention to. And then we have to have the spiritual discipline to get a hold of ourselves, pull that idea out into the light of day, not just beat ourselves up and make ourselves wrong for that. Well, I had a bad thought. I'm not a good metaphysician at all. I'm a terrible science of minder. No, bring it out and go, where did that come from? It came from my sense of loyalty. It came from me being terrified as a child, and that idea was planted in me. It came from me insisting on surviving, and the only way I could survive was by this belief. But that's not who I am anymore. I'm not living on the streets. I don't have to survive this way. I'm not terrified. I'm not expressing my loyalty to people by believing what they told me. I'm all grown up. I'm a big girl now. I can shift this. I can bring it out into the light of day. I can think about what I think about. I can focus on what I'm focusing on, and I can change what I'm doing inside of myself. But we do it without just making ourselves wrong. You have to have a lot of compassion for yourself. You know, if I held myself accountable by other people's values or thoughts of judgments of right and wrong, I would come up down a lot. You know, from the first 20 years of my life, I stole my way through, I slept my way through, I did anything that I could to get through. I drugged my way through, I drank my way through, I did anything I could to get through, and rather than making myself wrong about that, I go, wow, you are really powerful. You got through. Most people wouldn't have gotten through. What ingenuity you had at such a young age that you learned how to go in the 7-Eleven and you were so small that they couldn't see you over the counter and you just filled your pockets with candy and you left. How smart was that in your environment to be able to pull that off? What ingenuity you had to sleep with hundreds of people and get your way through, get yourself out of sticky situations, get yourself just a little bit above where you were before. Well, my goodness, maybe not hundreds. But what ingenuity you had, instead of just giving in and caving into that. To be able to use your resources, to put yourself forward, to bring yourself forward, to fight for every step you got. Wow, you're tough, you're strong. Not, those were terrible things, I'm a terrible person, I should never be standing up here. No. When I do that, I have separated myself from myself and I have nothing to work with. And if I just say, Barbara, you shouldn't think those thoughts. I remember when we built this building and we ran out of money so many times and I had so many sleepless nights, and rather than saying, you're a religious science minister, you're not supposed to have sleepless nights, you're supposed to know that all is well and money just shows up at the perfect and right time, exactly the way that it's supposed to, and that this is a divine idea in the mind of God, its time has come, and it cannot help but show up. I didn't do that. I worried, and I worried, and we kept running out of money, and running out of money, and running out of money, because I worried about running out of money. And I thought that that was being a good leader. Now get this, I thought that that was being a good leader because I was trying to have everybody's back. I was creating an adversary, putting myself in a defensive role so that I could protect everybody instead of lifting everybody up to where there was just plenty of money. But if I made myself wrong for that, then I'd never be able to shift it. Instead, what I did was, look at how courageous you are, that you would stand in the fire to be able to try to have everybody's back, as if you could have everybody's back. And they don't need you to have their back. They've got their own back. We've all got our own back. There is nothing attacking us. There is no disaster around the corner. Everything is fine. We're all in this together, and somehow, some way, we're going to get through it. And when I did that, we got through it. But I couldn't do it if I had an idealized image that I didn't live up to, that I made myself wrong, because where I was coming from was from a good place. I was just not acting the best with it. I wasn't bringing up my best self. I was being neurotic about it. So don't turn against yourself in this, or you'll never be able to bring those hidden beliefs out in the light of day and turn them around. How about this? Money doesn't grow on trees. Who said that? Margot. Who told you that? And how do you feel about your dad? So is it your anger with him that had you keep money doesn't grow on trees? Did that give you a way to fight him? I'm good at what I do. So in order to stay angry and fighting with your dad, then you held on to the idea that money doesn't grow on trees so that you could be mad at him. Now, psychologically, people only want to continue the fight in the hopes that it will have a different result. Children want to act out the same situation over and over and over again, and we bring that into adulthood in the hopes that it'll have a different ending. And the different ending that you would want to have, rather than being angry at your dad and having a dad that you didn't like, would be what?
That he would have valued me as a girl.
That you would have a dad that valued you as a girl. Yeah. I wore boy clothes for a year in my tween years, trying somehow to turn into a boy. Because boys had dad's approval. Boys in my house had mom's approval too. Girls had nothing. So what you're trying to do is, in a twisted way, is have the dad that loves you. And so every time you act out, there's not enough money, or money doesn't grow on trees, and you get at your dad, you're really just trying to have that connection in the hopes that dad will change. And say, Margot, I'm so glad you're a girl. You bring that feminine power into the world, and I love that about you. So since that's never going to happen, the only one who's going to give that to you is who? So it's important to give it to you. And it's important to realize that fighting with your dad doesn't help. And so maybe you could even take the spiritual high road to love your dad just the way he is. And maybe even tell him you didn't see the value in me being a girl, but I want you to know I kick ass. I kick ass as a girl. I am great. I have been in the military. I have been all over the world. I am amazing. I have all these friends. I'm an amazing person. And you couldn't see it, but I'm not going to let that keep me from loving you. It's a progression. And then you dismantle the need to have a knee-jerk reaction of money doesn't grow on trees, which only lets you demonstrate that there's not enough money. And again, don't tell that to the farmer, because they're counting dollars with those apples. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You can't turn against yourself. It won't help. How about, I'm going to die young like...
My mother, she walked around good part of the time saying, I will die young like my mother, and she did. And so did almost everybody else in her family, except her twin sister, who died at 90, because she had an attitude, gotta pull me out of here.
Same genetic
Twin.
Identical twin. Identical.
No, they were not identical, but they were so
Same genes.
so connected.
Same genes. One's dead early because she says, I'm going to die young.
55.
The other one lives to be 90 because she says, you're going to have to drag me out of this
And
life.
she lasted long after all the machines said she shouldn't be here.
Right, of course. Because machines don't tell us. We're in charge of our lives. We create our lives. So, in your connection to your mother, this idea of I'm going to die young like my mother gives you what?
Well, it gives me a great attention to taking pristine and excellent care of myself.
So I'm not my mother.
But more often than I'm comfortable with, I'm afraid of almost everything, every germ, everything. I don't even want, I go la 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 la, I don't even want to hear about things that are in the air.
So when you're afraid, you're
Yeah,
okay, so you are loyal to your mother. You're a good daughter.
but I have my Aunt Pauline to pull me over to the other side. I know that she is my historical role model, that, you know, I have her genes as well.
Wonderful. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the underlying fuel for these beliefs. So when you're afraid of everything, you are being a good daughter to your mother. You are loving your mother. Is that really working for you?
Oh, God, no.
So how could you love your mother without being afraid of everything and thinking you're going to die?
Because she loved me so much, she would want to know that I survived in health and happiness and whatever the opposite
So you could
fear
really
is.
love your mother by surviving in health and happiness.
She would be thrilled.
Wonderful. So anytime you're afraid, you're going to have to sit yourself down and give yourself a talking to. And say, okay, Susan, I know you're doing this out of love for Mom, but this isn't what she would want. This isn't really loving her. This is not loving the best of her. This is loving the worst of her. So if you want to love her, love the best of her. Love the part of her that wants you to live to be 90 years old like Aunt Pauline and be healthy and joy-filled and prosperous. And that's what I'm going to do. Now, just like Jen, how are you going to do that? What are you going to turn your thoughts around to? What are you going to tell yourself?
I'm perfectly healthy.
I'm perfectly healthy. I love my mother and I'm perfectly healthy.
And my immune system is so strong it wards off everything.
I love my mother and my immune system is so strong that it wards off everything.
Yeah.
I love my mother, and I'm going to live to be at least 90 like Aunt Pauline.
Please.
Put that I love my mother in there, and that will satisfy the part of you that wants to love your mother by being afraid. Give it another way to love. Is this making sense?
Yes.
This is a crash therapy course for all of you. Okay. Who said just a phase? What does that mean, Shelley?
She never really seriously.
Oh, she never took you seriously. So do you think that whatever's going on in you is just a phase?
I don't now
So much.
so much. Now I'm looking back on it, I realise that it's, she was afraid to try anything really, so she wanted me to not try because it's just a phase. And in fact, it
So your mother was afraid to try anything. Notice how it's mothers. It's not one thing, it's your mother. Your mother was afraid of trying. Your mother wanted to protect you, so she didn't want you to try anything new. So when you were in that position of not trying anything new, how did you feel about your mother?
I felt close to her.
You felt close to her when you were not trying anything new, when you were being small, when you were being afraid. You felt close to mom. So what you want to do is save that closeness without screwing yourself up. So how can you feel close to your mom? What would your mom really like of you?
Now we talk about it, so she apologizes and she would really like me to soar.
So your mom really would like for you to soar. That's truly what she wants. So what would you tell yourself? You're feeling afraid, you're not trying this because it's new, you're feeling very close and loved by your mom, but then you go, wait a minute, what am I doing here? Pull it out in the light of day. I don't need to pull myself back to feel close to my mother. I can feel close to my mother by soaring. So what would you tell yourself?
I tell myself that I'm worthy and I'm a serious person and I want to be, and that I can do anything I want to.
I'm worthy, I can do anything that I want to do. I would even throw in there, and my mom loves me like that. You know, because on a soul level, it's just light, love and light. And your mom is still on this plane, so she can actually say that to you. So you get the closeness, which is a psychological need, but we've twisted it into being pretty neurotic in how we've learned to demonstrate it. You get the closeness, but you get to soar. You get to do whatever you want to do.
The one thing that I have had to do with it, in addition to what you're saying, is I have to feel the fear.
Well, yeah.
Like if it comes up with me with fear or worry or anything, I can't just talk myself out of it, because what happened in the past was I would say, I would think that, and then push the feeling down.
And that's why we're doing this, so we don't do that. But if you bring it up and go, the reason I'm doing this is to feel close to my mother. Well, I just talked to my mother yesterday, and she said, I wish you'd do some new things. I wish you'd do better than I did. I wish you'd soar a little bit. So I can feel close to her by doing that. And once you move yourself through that, you're not shoving it down. You're pulling it out and saying, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, but it's not really the way that I want to do it now. I want to shift it. So how would I shift it? I'm powerful. I can do whatever I want. I'm serious if I want to be. I am magnificent. And then you're feeling that feeling. Good. And one last thing before we break. We're either winning or losing. Is that you, Dakota?
Mm-hmm.
What's up with that?
That was pretty much my father's way of framing the world. You're either a winner or a loser.
And which were you?
A winner.
Good.
Yeah. But I lost. There were plenty of times when I would do things, and so then everything gets framed in win-lose. And I mean, failure are these great opportunities to work as well.
Did your father know that?
No.
No.
And it was a huge impediment in his life. And I was able to work through that. He's dead, so I'm free. And it's right.
He's dead, I'm free.
Because I've been able to work through that for myself and be able to frame that in my relationship with him. So it's been wonderful. And my attitude around that is just so different, because I've come to realize that, I mean, when someone else wins and I'm in their wake, I don't care if it's a baseball game. That's my door. That's my door. It's all my door to experience that. And I know that whoever's beside me, when I win, I am their door. And that actually is the way it works.
So you've worked through this all before now.
Yeah.
Yay. Yay. Yay.
That was a big one.
It is a big one.
And it was only like the last year that I really got it.
Good.
That's because you're a practitioner.
I was going to say that's what practice. Okay, we're going to take a break, and thank you very much. Rolling. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Sherry, thank you. We're rolling. Sandy had her hand up before the break. Do you still have something?
Well, I just wanted to say that, the power of words, I had, a friend's father who just passed away, and, he swore when he was in his 30s and his 40s, he said, I'm gonna die when I'm 87. He died when he was 87.
So your father just passed and he said he was going to die when he was 87 and he did.
Yep.
Sweet. You're gonna claim it. You know it, you're gonna grow it. Pegatha.
I become wanting to die when I'm 50 because I'm just learning how life works and enjoying it.
150, there you go, there you go. Laura.
So there's a movie out called, I think it's called The Promise. It's based on a true story about Chinese Americans that the grandmother in China is diagnosed. So they all go back. So in Chinese culture, it's actually acceptable to not tell the individual, like, you have this cancer, this disease or whatever, so that they will live to the fullest till the end. And so they go back, they hurry the nephew to get married, so they have an excuse to all go back and kind of say goodbye. And so the movie is really about the conflict, like she's American, but she's also Chinese, so she's like, you know, but it's really, and it's all about thought process. Like, you know, if you knew, you would know that you have that disease in you and more likely to succumb and get sick. And so I'll spoil the ending is that, like, so they all did have the wedding and said goodbye to her, and then at the very end it's like, and 6 years later she's still alive and still going strong. Like,
They didn't tell her.
right, and the doctors had said she only has months, you know.
Right, right.
So.
So, what I want us to do is, I want everyone to have a piece of paper. So those of you who don't have paper, ask someone close to you to give you a piece of paper. Don't be sorry, there are pens. There are pens that no way So everyone has a piece of paper and a pen. Piece of paper and a pen. Duck, you go in front, duck, duck, okay, duck, duck, duck. The camera situation has moved, so when you walk in front of the camera, you're gonna wanna duck, or all it's gonna get is the back of your head.
My best part.
Oh, I'm good. I was watching to make sure she didn't watch.
So, we're going to look at some of the beliefs that we have. Let's look at our beliefs about our body. I want you to write down on your paper, body. You don't have to share this. Nobody's going to look over your shoulder. You can write in code if you want to. And you can put positive beliefs, you can put negative beliefs. It doesn't matter to me. What belief do you have about your body?
Where do you write
On your paper. Under belief.
So the body, under where it says body?
You're writing on your paper body,
Yes.
and then write your belief.
On your paper?
Under belief.
Dash inside the body and then.
So it's within that same column, that's what I was trying to
Yeah, I was confused.
What's your belief about your body? Doesn't have to be a long narrative. And what do you get from that belief?
Are you talking about what we physically get or what we get emotionally?
Whatever that means to you. Sensates are going to have physical get. Intuitive people or feeling people are going to have the feelings that they get. Other people are gonna have other things that they get. Let me not limit your ability to get. But what do you get out of that? I've seen people use their bodies as an excuse that I can't. Because I'm not well, because I'm not strong, because I'm not tall, you know, because I'm whatever, my belief, and that means that I can't. Or I've seen people use their bodies for I can't. So what do you believe about your body, and what is that buying you? What is that getting you? What's the payoff? And it's really important to look at what your payoff is, because to discount that, you can't just take the belief away if you don't address the payoff. So what's your payoff? And then if the payoff is anything less than joy, prosperity, happiness, then what do you want to get? What would you rather have as a payoff? And then you're going to want to look at what your new belief would be to give you what you really want. That's a lot of murmuring about not having the right number of columns.
Not enough columns.
We live in an abundant universe with more than enough columns. You don't have to write in columns. So what do you believe about your body? And what does that give you? And what do you want to get? And how can you come up with a belief that would give you that? What is your belief about your body, and what does that give you? What do you want to have, and what belief would feed that? What belief would support you in having what you really want to have? Let's say, for an example, I have a belief about my body that I'm not healthy. And what that gives me is an excuse not to go full out in life, because I'm not healthy. I can't. I have to pull back. I have to take care of myself. I have to rest. I have to make sure everything is perfect, right? Do you want that? Hell no, I don't want that. I want to be healthy. I want to be filled with energy. I want to run out into my life. I want to embrace it all. I want to have an endless supply supporting me physically. So what kind of a belief would give me that? A belief that I'm healthy and strong, that I'm fueled by life, that I'm filled with energy. Is that a good example?
Yeah.
Okay. So is there anyone that wants to share? Because before we go on, I want to make sure that you are understanding the process.
I have a question. On your what I want and new belief, I have the same thing. Is that supposed, I'm
Tell me what
not
it is.
sure. What I want is joy, happiness, and health.
Great. So what belief will give you joy, happiness, and health?
Oh, I have to change.
Yeah, oh, I have to change. Thank you, reason.
Priceless.
I believe that I am happy and healthy on the whole. I am God expressed. But the doctor's things say that I am not. And so I have this struggle of, I'm picturing out not, but I believe in my heart that I am. So,
I think you want to believe,
okay.
Because if you really believed in your heart that you were, the doctors would not be able to find anything wrong with you.
So how do I get to where I move beyond just wanting to believe and I actually believe?
So what is the kind of belief that you would have that outpictured you as healthy and joy-filled and strong?
Apparently I don't know.
Okay, so if you have a belief that says I'm sick, and you've got, doctors are validating that belief, but you don't really want to keep that belief. You want to be healthy and vibrant and alive, and so the belief would be, what? Help her out.
I'm healthy and whole.
I'm healthy and whole.
I say that all the time. But that doesn't, apparently it's not having the vibration that goes along with it.
Well, there's still something keeping that other thing stuck. So just like we did the whole first side of class, there's a payoff that we have. Usually it has to do with love or loyalty that keeps that old belief stuck. So who is it that you are loving by not being healthy? Who are you validating? Who are you making right? Who are you being loyal to?
My mother's still alive and she's doing really well. My dad lived till 90 and he died of dementia more than anything else. So I don't know.
So if you were healthy, how would your life be different?
I would be strong, I would be vibrant, I would have prosperity and abundance.
Great, and is it connected? It doesn't have to be your parents, but is it connected to either one of your parents that healthy, strong, vibrant, and prosperous would either bring you closer or bring you farther away from them?
I recognized recently that I do have this thing to where because I have had no money, so I have no health insurance and things, that therefore I can't be prosperous and things, so you have to be healthy in order to be prosperous.
So by not being prosperous, what is your payoff to not being prosperous?
Not being healthy.
You're satisfying some kind of a need inside of you by setting the stage, very, very complex, to not be prosperous. Who are you living up to their expectations to not prosper? Who are you reinforcing to not prosper? Who are you saying you're right? I'm not prosperous. Who told you you were not prosperous? Or you couldn't be, or you shouldn't be?
My stepfather was the one who told me that I wasn't good enough, that I'd never amount to anything.
There we go, there we go. So in your wanting to love your stepfather, and this is so important, don't turn yourself against yourself. We do everything out of wanting to be in alignment with love. In your wanting to love your stepfather, you have orchestrated your life to make him right. Is there a better way for you to love him?
Yes,
Which would be?
by being all I can be.
Wonderful. So that's where you're going to turn it around, because you cannot rip these things away from yourself. That's when people say just don't think the thought, and it doesn't work. You can't rip away why you're thinking the thought, why you've gone out of your way to set the stage to where you end up making him right. When really what you want to do is love him by excelling, by prospering, by being in your joy, by being all that you can be. You love him. So you've got to give yourself the love. I love me, I love him, I love the world by prospering this day. So that's where I would start the belief. Not just forcing yourself to say, I'm healthy, when you're demonstrating a lack of health. Do you see how that just doesn't work? And that's one of the flaws of this teaching, that we think that we can orchestrate all of this on a conscious level by just shoving in the right words, and then if we shove in the right words, we'll be good enough spiritually to be able to demonstrate the miracle. Instead, we've got to get down in there and pull out the reason that we're doing this, which is always love. And then we give ourselves a way to love in a healthier way, in a more effective way. What's his name? What'd you call him? Did you call him Jim?
I call him Dad now.
I love you, Dad. Say that.
Dad,
By prospering and being all that I can be.
by prospering and being all that I can be.
Say it again.
I love you, Dad, by prospering and being all that I can be.
There you go. There you go. That's your new belief, that you can love your dad by prospering and being all that you can be. Not that you're trying to force yourself to believe that your body is healthy, but that you're loving your dad, because that's the hidden belief, is that I love dad by being sick. No, I love dad by being healthy. That's the shift. Does that make sense? Sweet.
Yeah.
So how about belief about money? Lynn,
Can I share mine about body?
sure.
Okay, I have two. I am visually impaired, and then so what I was getting out of that, and I had a bid for this, I didn't want to write it down. I'm visually impaired, and so what I got out of it was an excuse, or that I was disabled, or I get a pass. Get a pass. And then so what I want is freedom. And so I am free. So that was the first one. And then the easy one, that's the one I didn't want to do, but the easy one was I am Goddess 1689 has been my mantra forever. So that's about my body, how I think of myself. I am Goddess 1689, and what it gives me is superhuman abilities.
Lynn, you're alive. You have superhuman abilities.
Yeah, you did it.
Yeah. So I keep that one.
Yes.
I am Goddess 1689, and still, so the I am Goddess 1689 overrides everything. So
Good.
that is my daily, everyday
Good.
mantra.
What is the
Good.
689?
It has to do with probably Bracho's number or whatever, the number that repeats in the pattern.
So we're writing about our belief about money. And then what you get from that belief. And it could be great, and you want to keep it. Or it could be not so great. And if it's not so great, what you want, and then what belief supports that. Nobody has to share, but if anybody wants to share, then that would be great. Judy Lee.
This one is actually my dad's voice that says, "Rich bitch." That people with money are unkind and selfish.
People with money are unkind and selfish.
Yes.
So what do you get out of that?
I get to be sanctimonious and poor.
Yes, yes. So now that you've brought it out into the light of day, and you understand that this is a way that you have loved your dad by fulfilling that you are not a rich bitch, you are a sweet poor person. that that's the way you're loving your dad, can you love your dad differently and get a different result? What do you want? If you don't want to be poor and sweet, sanctimonious and poor, then what do you want?
I want to be benevolent, kind, and phenomenally generous.
And?
Love my dad.
And? What's the opposite of poor?
Oh, and wealthy.
Yeah, you neglected all of that. You were generous and kind, but you neglected the money part. So understand that you have a mental block. So you want to be wealthy and generous and kind. So what is the belief that keys into your dad? Can I love my father and be wealthy and generous and kind at the same time?
Yes. Thanks for the prompt. It has to go back to that in spirit. He was an incredibly unkind human because it just to love the spirit that was part of him, to love the spark that lived in him.
And you know, some people teach us how to be by teaching us how not to be.
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful that my father taught me how to be wealthy and generous and kind.
Yeah.
And I am
Yes.
wealthy, generous, and kind. Because if you try to rip the love to your dad out of this process, it'll stop you. And that's when people, they have mental blocks, they can't get past it, it doesn't work, all of that. Tiana.
So I keep coming back to, like, I don't have in every single situation like someone to reference it to, but it's like a younger version of me that I have to validate, like that I was right in thinking that.
In thinking what?
Just well, I remember that one's hard. Oh, so I guess for example, like I used to think like it takes money to make money, and then you know I've gone through periods of having and then not having. I don't know, like maybe at some point like I was right and I was able to like triumph through it and it impressed other people. Like it was really like it wasn't necessarily like someone else's belief, it was like mine that I challenged myself with, you know, to
So are you saying the belief is it takes money to make money?
well that's not
I need you to come up with a belief.
okay. Well, these are positive.
Good. Give us a positive one.
Okay, okay, well, I guess with money I have the negative is like, I'm not blank enough to have freedom from lack. And that's, you know, confident, lucky. I mean, I could put a lot of things in there. And I keep coming back to like, it's like true to my original belief.
Okay, but let's stay with this. I'm not blank enough to be free from lack.
Yeah.
So I'm not smart enough, evolved enough, educated enough, whatever, fill in the blank, to have, instead of freedom from lack, let's not do the double negative, to have abundance or money or prosperity. Now what does that give you? If you don't have enough, what does that buy you in life?
You know what? I honestly, this just came to me. Like, it's almost like I'm hanging on to like Bill in some way in this. Like,
So this is your love of Bill.
yeah.
How can you prosper when he died?
I don't know.
That's your question to yourself.
Yeah.
You're showing your love for him
Yeah.
by staying wounded by his passing.
Yeah.
And you're not the only one in the room.
Yeah.
So if you were to prosper and be successful, do you think Bill would like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So if you can see that this is really about love,
Mhm.
and don't make yourself wrong that, oh, gee, Tiana, you think that you're not good enough to be okay. No, this is you trying to hold on to Bill.
Yeah.
This is you trying to love him. So if you can still hold on to him and love him by prospering and succeeding, then you can demonstrate that prosperity and success so easily because it's fueled by love. So the belief would be, yes, I'm asking you.
I'm sorry,
blurt it out.
Yeah, like I love you, and I am the you, or I am the me that you always saw. And
I can be the me that you always saw and love you. Isn't that wonderful? Now that will open up the doors of prosperity like crazy, because you're not slamming them shut, proving your love for him.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Quan.
Yeah, mine is kind of sugar coated, the way I wrote it, so, I mean, it's,
Go ahead.
yeah, money, me and lots of money is like oil and water. And what I get is confirmation to not see myself in a light that makes me worthy.
Okay, so you get to be unworthy, because oil and, you and money is like oil and water. Who told you that? Who told you you weren't worthy?
Well, I mean,
That you didn't?
of course, I heard my dad say,
Take your hand down.
I heard my father say on a few occasions, money's hard to come by, and he acted as if he did, but
Okay, so your loyalty to your dad keeps money away from you. You think your dad would like to see you prosper? Yeah. So could you turn your loyalty to your dad around to prosper?
yeah.
Could you have a belief that says, I show how much I love my dad by being wealthy?
Yeah.
That money comes to me easily and quickly from many different ways in ever increasing amounts? Good, good. Okay, we're gonna do one more. Love. Hitting on the high points here. What is your belief about love? You can translate that into any kind of love you want. What do you believe about love, and what does it get you? The payoffs here are huge. Then what do you want to get? And what belief will support you having that? And if anyone wants to share, you're welcome to.
I'll share on this one.
Mary Love.
Yeah, so I've spent years on this one, and to the absolute core, I believe that this thing that we call God is love. And that that's the basis of everything. And what I get out of that is that's the center of peace and connection and knowing that I'm a part of something bigger and that we all are. And my mantra is I'm part of something bigger.
And whatever God is love, and that's the core of everything, that's the center of everything in your mantra, and it takes you to something greater. And your mantra is, I am a part of something bigger. Yeah, very nice. How long did it take you to get there?
So I changed my last name to Love 25 years ago. So,
Nice. 25 years. A blink in eternity.
yeah.
Vivian.
Mine is in reference to partnership, and it's I will never experience it.
You'll never experience love.
Yeah, I'll never have.
And what does that buy you?
Control.
Okay. So you get to stay miserable and in control,
Yeah.
or alone and in control.
That's what I have, is control.
So what would you like?
Somebody, support and camaraderie and happiness.
Great, so you'd like to be not alone, because you'd like support, camaraderie, and happiness. If you believe that being in control has to be had by being alone, then your flip of that is to have support, camaraderie, and happiness means that you're out of control. And so let's look at control. What do you think that control gives you?
I know everything that's gonna happen.
And if you know everything that's going to happen, what?
I can handle it.
I can handle it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can get through it on my own.
We'll stay away from the real belief, which is that you're safe. So let's go back to I can handle it. So if I can handle life, I have to be alone. Do you think it's possible for you to handle it and have camaraderie and happiness, whatever that other one was? Support?
Yes.
So what would your new belief be?
Well, so this is where I get hung up, because I feel like love is in all of my relationships, and I get that out of the platonic love that I have with all of my friends, but I cannot get to that point
What point?
for romantic love, to be in partnership with somebody.
So you want intimacy, you want sex, you want romance. That's good. Can you have all of that and handle it? Oh, look at that. No, no, no. So if you have that belief, you're going to have to change your belief that you can have that and handle it. And again, I would push you a little farther to be safe, because that's what's going on. Can you be romantically involved with someone and be safe? That's the question, if you can flip that belief. So let's go back to where this came from. Where did you learn to be romantically involved with someone you were not safe?
When I was a kid.
Yeah. So when that happened, there's still some allegiance to whoever that was. And in your own way, you are showing your love by not allowing yourself to be intimate with someone and to be safe. So consider that there's a way to show your love, to be intimate, and to be safe. And how you can word that into a belief is where you get to work.
Okay.
Very brave.
Thank you.
Isn't this great? This is like doing group for everybody. Because when we turn against ourselves, we have lost. And we have lost the promise of this teaching, because we don't allow ourselves to have heart and feeling and to be screwed up. We're all screwed up. It's okay. What we do is we take ourselves where we are. We bring it out into the light of day. We realize that there's a reason that we're doing this, and we figure out a way to keep that reason, to keep the love, but to be able to have a better life. We don't have to turn our back on ourselves, on the people that we love, on our loyalties, to be able to demonstrate a better life. For that matter, it's critical that we bring all of those with us. But most of us have translated those at a very young age to mean something that doesn't work anymore. And so we've got to be able to keep the love and change the belief. And just pounding it out 1,000 times a day is not the end-all be-all. It's to be able to look and say, what do I really believe? Where did this come from? What's it buying me? Do I really want to stay small? Or am I willing to pay the price to be big? And the price is to up-level your love. Not to throw out the baby with the bathwater, but to figure out a way to love mom and dad and people from our past and whatever else is involved, those who have gone on, to figure out how to still love them and for us to live the life of our dreams. And I think that to bypass this step has not served us. And I've had a good time. There are plenty of people crying in the room, so I'm not sure if Do you have any other questions or comments? Please feel free to bring your friends to the vision board. Bring them next week if you want. We're going to have a lot of fun. If there's homework type stuff for you to do, I'm going to have you do it in class like this. And that way I'm sure everybody at least hears it, even if it's not done. It's planted inside of you. We're going to have fun in this class. We're going to have a lot of changes in this class. We're going to create a kick-ass life. And that is our job. Yes. So take out what you're going to give, hold it in your hand. What I know is that God is the source of all supply and money is God in action. I know that that flow of spirit comes into my life and out of my life, and into my life and out of my life, and it's an ever-expanding spiral of expansion, of prosperity, of abundance of all kinds. I know that as we give, we set spiritual law in motion. And the only thing that it can do is take that, multiply it, and bring it back to us. So right here and right now, we are clear. We give out of our fullness. We give out of our abundance. We give out of our overflowing blessings. And we give to the Center for Spiritual Living Asheville, knowing that each of us comes together to make the amazing experience that it is, touching the hearts and lives of millions of people around this world. Each one of us comes together to help make this center a place of peace, a beacon of light, a tower of strength, and a fountain of wisdom that touches the lives of all who call it home. And so it is. So it is. Yes. Stay in the energy, just feel it expand. Feel it expand. Feel it expand. There's gold dust in the air. There are millionaires being created as I speak. Things are showing up in our lives that open the door, that make our way clear, that lift us and lift us and lift us. We are not as weak as our weakest link. We are as strong as the strongest one among us. We are as prosperous as the most prosperous one here, and then we go out from there. The entire universe delights in manifesting as our thoughts, as our feelings, as our words, as our beliefs. And we expand those thoughts, feelings, words, and beliefs into greater levels of living, into more and more blessings, more joy, more prosperity, more health, more love, more wholeness, more happiness. That is our divine birthright, and I accept it for each of us, right here and right now. I know that everything in these baskets is blessed, because anytime we give, that which we are goes with our gift. It is like golden light pouring forth from each of us, filling up this room from the floor to the ceiling and all between the walls. This air is rich and blessed with God as us. And I know that as Spirit moves in our lives right here and right now, we are touched, we are blessed, and we are healed. And I know that that energy cannot stay in the room no matter how fantastic the people. It's got to go out and circle this world and continue to bless, to touch, and to heal every being on this planet. Always here, always now, touching every one of us here tonight, everyone who has ever been here, and everyone yet to come. And so it is. I love you. Have a wonderful week. I'm going to be great. Hi, I'm Barbara Waterhouse.
And I'm John Waterhouse. Thank you for watching this message today.
Through our website, cslasheville.org, we have over 1,000 messages, classes, and new thought books, all to download at no charge to anyone.
Producing this incredibly valuable collection of ideas is really making a difference in the world. It's changing lives everywhere.
Please go to our website, cslasheville.org, and click the Donate button. You can support this life-changing ministry, and when you do, we'll send you a note of thanks and also put you on our daily prayers.
By doing this, you're helping to raise the consciousness of people across the entire globe. We're changing lives together, those lives that are being more prosperous, more healthy, and more joyous. Thank you for being a part of this important work and supporting what we do here at CSL Asheville.
Thank you.